Welcome, wherever you are around the world. This is the webinar for the Information Security Institute at the Johns Hopkins University. My name is Anton DeBora. I'm the Executive Director of the Institute. Before we get started with information about the Institute itself, I'd like to share a few housekeeping items. Namely, if you'd like to ask questions during the presentation, if you're on your desktop computer, you can select the questions tab and then type your question into the text box and then select send. If you're on a cell phone or tablet device, select the question mark, type the question into the text box and select send. Okay, let's talk about our institute. First of all, as I said, I'm Anton DeBora. I have a number of interests in research, as you can see here, and you'll be learning a lot more about what we do here in the life of our institute and about our educational programs as well. Our agenda today is to talk to you about why Johns Hopkins for the next phase of your educational pursuits. Then we'll give an overview of the program. We'll talk about, you'll hear from faculty about the research we do here. You'll hear from a student and the student experience. We'll talk about the admissions process and student experiences, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end. Let's talk about the broad picture, engineering at Johns Hopkins. First of all, as you probably know, Johns Hopkins is one of the premier research universities in the world. And you can see that we've led U.S. higher education and research and development in spending with over $2.43 billion in 2016, and that number has only increased over the last couple of years. Within the Whiting School of Engineering, we have over 25 research centers and institutes. So research is really the signature activity in our university. We also collaborate with other divisions of the university, including the Applied Physics Laboratory, the School of Medicine, and the Bloomberg School of Public Health. We have expertise in many areas. I'll name just a few. Medicine and engineering, defense, information engineering, and resilient systems are some of the relevant topics that you might be interested in. The mission of the Whiting School of Engineering is to provide an outstanding engineering education that is innovative, rigorous, and relevant, and prepares its graduates to be 21st century leaders. We also have a number of career resources that you can take advantage of while you're here, including our Career Center, employer networking activities and events. We have a very active Whiting School of Engineering alumni organization and other resources for entrepreneurship, in fact, and I'll mention one specific opportunity here later on. I'd like to talk next about our program here at the Information Security Institute. The mission of our institute is to advance the field of information security through excellence in pure and applied research and educational programs. We were founded almost 20 years ago by Professor Jerry Mason. We were one of the first research institutes dedicated to information security. We were also one of the very first educational organizations named by the Department of Defense as a National Center for Academic Excellence. We have a number of very active and renowned faculty members as part of our institute. You can see the list here and their titles. You'll hear a little bit later from Professor Avi Rubin, who's also our technical director. And we also have lectures bringing you the latest and greatest in information security so that we're very up on what's going on in the field, and we make sure that, that you have everything you need to be successful in your career, including topics such as cloud security, software security, digital forensics, security analytics, and not only the technical topics, but also topics including legal aspects of security, ethics, global policy, and so forth. Just to touch on a few of the recent faculty research activities, Professor Rubin has been involved in trustworthy health and wellness, and he'll touch on that a little bit more later on. Professor Susan Homburger Waters is part of a large-scale NSF grant on program obfuscation. And Matt Green is also an applied cryptographer. You may have seen his quotes in the news recently on different topics. He's one of the co-authors of the now well-known Keys Under the Doormats paper that addresses the potential pitfalls of including backdoors by design in crypto systems. Professor Abhishek Jain has continued his activities under his DARPA grant to develop techniques for program obfuscation and cutting-edge encryption techniques such as functional encryption. And Professor Lanier Watkins, his specialty is critical infrastructure protection, and he's done a lot of work in drone vulnerability analysis, and there are some pretty interesting videos on the web if you're interested. Some of the highlights from the last couple of years or so. Very recently, Matt Green has been in the news commenting on the new Australian encryption laws requiring backdoors. That has implications around the world, so that's a very important topic that we're tracking. As I said earlier, Professor Rubin has continued his work in information security in the healthcare field. Professor Jain was the general chair of the 2017 Theory of Cryptography Conference, which is perhaps the most renowned crypto conference around. And we also hold our own annual conference. We are about to hold our next conference in March. It's the annual cybersecurity conference for executives, and we bring in people from the region and around the country to talk about hot topics in cybersecurity. We also are involved in outreach and competitions. We are partnered with Hagerstown Community College, and that has led to broader DoD funding to produce a video series on advanced topics in cybersecurity to be distributed around the country. Also, we participate in Capture the Flag competitions. In fact, recently we placed third in the 2018 Raymond James Capture the Flag competition. So what makes the Masters of Science in Security Informatics here at Hopkins unique? First of all, we have part of our program, if you choose to pursue it, is healthcare information security. So you can specialize in that, and that's a really hot field, and there are so many needs in protecting our healthcare systems. Also, we have other dual degree programs with computer science, applied math, and health science. We have all kinds of research opportunities. In fact, part of your experience here will be to conduct original research as part of your capstone project, which is a requirement for your MSSI degree. And you'll be surrounded by world-class faculty who are leading experts in the security field. So you'll be right in the middle of the action and well positioned to begin or take the next steps in your cybersecurity career. One of the two things I'd like to finish up with is that we're pleased to announce what we call the Home to Homewood program. It's an exciting new option for students who are admitted to our MSSI program. Starting this summer, you may take up to 3 courses online at home or wherever you are during the summer, and then spend 2 full-time semesters here on the Homewood campus in Baltimore. So you can accelerate the pace of your degree should we choose. And we have more information on that on our website, and feel free to ask questions about that. The last thing I'd like to talk about is a new offering starting in the fall, which is a cybersecurity innovation and entrepreneurship course that I'll be co-teaching. And it will be a 2-semester sequence partnering you with cybersecurity experts and entrepreneurs in our regional community, as well as venture capitalists, so that you can develop your own cybersecurity entrepreneurial ideas, develop business plans, build prototypes, find funding, and be able to come out of here, if you choose, ready to launch your startup. So we're excited about that. We're doing that in partnership with our own Center for Leadership Education. And so I hope that you'll consider that as part of the program here at Johns Hopkins. So that's my part. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Shengyoung Lee, who's the program director for our MSSI program.
Thank you, Tony. Hello, this is Shengyoung Lee. I'm the director of the MSSI program, Master of Science in Security Informatics. So I'm very glad to have this opportunity to meet you virtually and share more information about our program. So from the start of our MSSI program, which is one of the oldest programs in cybersecurity, in the U.S. and also actually around the world, we have two goals in the design of this program study. First, we want to provide students with rounded education experience. So we want to prepare you with coursework not only in technology but also in policy management as well as health areas. So right now we have two study tracks you can choose from. One is technology and research. The other is policy and management. So while you take all the required courses, there is flexibility, for you to choose courses from other departments, other academic units. Actually, many of our students, they are taking courses from computer science, from applied math, from schools of public health and medicine. And secondly, as Tony said, research is a very big part of your study here, because we firmly believe research is one of the research and also independent study, right? Is one of the most efficient ways for you to dive into information security, this very dynamic, very interdisciplinary field, to study a topic you like, also to gain real world experience. In terms of your research experience in this program, you will go through a set of seminars in every semester. You will conduct this capstone project. I will talk about more later. So many of our students, they do some internship in the US and actually internationally, and as well as many competition opportunities our students are taking on, including technical competitions, CTF competitions, as well as policy-oriented competitions. So right now we have over 100 students in our program. Just to give you kind of to show you the structure of the two tracks right now we are offering. On the technology and research track, you can see you will be studying more technical courses. Crypto is is very important. It's fundamental to many cybersecurity solutions, applications. So you must take one crypto course in your program study. In addition, there are 3 non-technology courses. This requirement, so you will get exposed to policy management as well as other topics. So we have the 2 additional courses, to provide flexibility for your program study. So basically, you can take any relevant courses, available on campus or online. I will talk about the capstone project more. If you look at the policy and management track, you can see, we kind of changed the balance here a little bit. So for those students who like to probably do more management, policy-oriented, kind of career. So this slide you can shows, I think right now probably over 20 technology courses we are offering Bio-Institute. So these courses, they range from very generic, very fundamental topics such as crypto, security and privacy, network security, computer forensics, to specialty topics such as ethical hacking, security analytics, as well as many other topics. It is just such a dynamic kind of field. So we keep adding or revising, our curriculum here. We offer several our own courses in policy and management. We consider those topics to be very critical, very important, especially if you are planning a career, not just as a programmer, as a, just a regular kind of worker, right? For somebody, if you want to climb, the career ladder, you want to do more, to achieve more in cybersecurity, you like to know enough the legal, ethical, management aspects of any, cybersecurity programs and projects. So Hopkins, as a very famous, education and research institution in health. So we also include health information courses in our curriculum. They are provided by schools of public health and medicine. Those are world-known schools. So for policy and management track students, we have these specially designed foundational courses offered by the Center for Leadership Education by our School of Engineering. So to give you a solid knowledge in that area. This slide shows one example of what your study could look like. But be careful here. This is for technology and research track kind of study. This is only for 3 semesters. But actually, as Tony mentioned, now actually you can start your study during summer before you even arrive on the campus. And many of our students actually, they take more time. They take extra semesters just because they want to learn more, and also they like to be an expert in certain area, right? So they have additional time they can spend in this program. Research. So in this slide and the next couple slides, I provide a snapshot of all the 18 projects conducted by our students in last fall. So if you look at the titles of these projects, right, you can see they are really a diverse kind of set of problems and applications, right? The students are working on. So these projects, the students study very fundamental theoretical aspects of cybersecurity, as well as very practical problems, regarding the hardware and software of traditional computer systems, networks, as well as emerging IoT, CPS, cyber physical systems. So it is just, again, this field is so dynamic. If you have to, conduct original independent study if you really want to become, proficient in one area. More on research. So on this slide, you can see, I will really encourage you to check out our student research. You can visit this web page. You will see all the projects, the capstone projects in the past 3 years, right? Together with their abstracts, you can check out to see what our students are working on. And also there is additional link where you can pull out a list of publications actually resulting from those student research. You can see our students really they are really active in doing research. I know career development is big on everybody's mind, right? So we firmly believe the problem study here will prepare you for that. I will say, so most of our students, they after graduation, they move on to take jobs in, small and big firms all over the country, or actually all over the world, in public and private sectors. But some of them, a small number of them, actually will continue their academic study, maybe in PhD programs. So definitely here you have all the opportunities, right, to pursue your own career kind of plan. So this concludes my segment. I will be glad to answer your questions later, in this session. But now I will give this to Professor Ari Rubin. He will talk about, research in our institute.
Thank you, Xiangyang. So good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening, depending on where in the world you are. I know we have people from a wide international set of places. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the research that I do here at Johns Hopkins in my lab, and also tell you a little bit about the course that I teach. My research right now is focused primarily on trusted health and wellness, which means we're looking at everything from medical device security. So for example, nowadays, people are taking infusion pumps. An infusion pump is a device that you hook up to a patient and you want to inject medication into them. And so in the old days, the doctor would set up the medications and this would be connected to the patient, and the machine would administer the dosages. The newer versions of these machines are connected to the internet so that the doctor can log into it and see how things are going and even change the medication. And so if you're thinking about it from a security perspective, you could see how scary that is, that something connected to the internet is directly interfacing with a human being, and medicine dosages are being controlled. And so obviously, if attackers are able to change those dosages, that could be very dangerous. Right now, I'm also in the process of transitioning more towards IoT, the Internet of Things, to look at the security of IoT. And this has some very interesting challenges. Just this morning, I was reading a news article, and the news article was about the fact that the Nest system was down yesterday. Nest controls thermostats in many people's houses. In fact, I have them in my house. I also have a Nest doorbell, which lets me see people that are coming up to my front door. But what does it mean when the Nest system goes down? Well, we are experiencing here in the US historical winter lows of temperatures. In fact, they say that in the Midwest right now, in places like Chicago, Michigan, Wisconsin, the temperature is lower than it is in Antarctica. I have a friend in Chicago who told me this morning it was minus 23 degrees there without the wind chill. Now, if your Nest thermostat goes down, that means that you can't control the heat in your house, and so people could actually be at risk of freezing. And if you're not sophisticated enough to be able to turn on your furnace when your thermostat isn't working, that could be really, really dangerous. That's not the only danger, though, of something like these Nest thermostats, because millions of devices, IoT devices, are being deployed all over in people's houses. And when those are compromised, sometimes someone's taking advantage of the exact functionality of the device, like changing the temperature. But many more times, what they're actually doing is using those devices as a launchpad to launch things like distributed denial of service attacks that can't be traced. And so they could take down a bank, they could take down a retailer. In fact, one of the interesting denial of service attacks that a famous professor, Adi Shamir, mentioned not too long ago was the idea that on the eve of the Super Bowl, which is coming up this Sunday, For those of you outside the US, the Super Bowl is the single biggest televised event in the United States. It's the finals of the football championship. What if all of these fancy smart TVs that people have in their houses, just as the game is about to start, would pop up something saying, you know, I know you have 20 people in your house right now for the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to show you the Super Bowl unless you send this amount of Bitcoin to this and this account, and holds your smart TV hostage. And suddenly you wish you had a really dumb TV, because the smart TV can be compromised that way. And so for IoT security, we're looking at how do you secure all of these devices that are now on the internet. They have computational capabilities. They're basically little computers with internet access all over the place. And what are some of the ramifications? And there are a whole lot of really interesting security problems that come up when you look at these. So I want to just take a couple minutes to say a few words about the course that I teach. Predominantly teach 3 courses here. I teach security and privacy in computing, which is on the technical and research track, an introductory graduate level course in security. I teach advanced topics in computer security, which is a follow-on that dives deeper into many research areas. And I also teach the undergraduate networking course, which I've had a lot of MSSI students take, where we cover all of the basics of how networking works. In the security and privacy class, we cover everything from buffer overflows and memory attacks, set UID, shell shock vulnerabilities. We cover race conditions. We look at DNS, web security, TLS, IoT security, SSH, so a lot of different protocols. And the way I designed the course, every one of these topics that I mentioned, and that was just examples, there are several others, we do a hands-on project where you work in a virtual machine to actually implement either an attack or a defense and do something hands-on. That was the first time I taught it in this experimental way was this past year. The class started with 60 students, and after the first week we had 30, but we also finished with 30. And the reason is that it's a very applied hands-on class, and it requires students with a pretty good programming background. But if you have that background and you're interested in doing hands-on attacks where you actually experience all of the best known attacks and you do them yourself, then this would be a good course for you. So the next thing we're going to do now is you're going to hear from a student.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Lee. I'm from Alabama originally, where I went to the University of Alabama in Huntsville. I got my bachelor's degree in computer science and biology from there. After leaving Alabama, I went to Florida for a few years to work in the military, specifically for the U.S. Air Force as a computer scientist. And then I received a scholarship recently to come to JHU to study security informatics. At first, I was a little bit overwhelmed by the possibilities that were at JHU, and I wasn't sure how to adapt to student life because I've been working for a while. But after I came to JHU, I was pleasantly surprised because first, the professors are very approachable. For instance, I took 5 courses in my first semester. Of those 5, 3 were tech-related courses and 2 are policy management courses. And I love the immersion of faculties and students in the teaching process in all my classes. And professors are always available during the office hours. And even outside the office hours, they were still very approachable, answering emails and making time to answer all my questions, even over the weekend. There were tremendous resources. And all the professors make sure they have plenty of class assistants to help us throughout the semester as well. And we also have our very own librarian in the program. And when I have trouble writing certain essays, I was able to go to her and she was able to walk me through various writing techniques and to help to refine my approach to different assignments that I had. And the students in our program are very diverse. I found myself able to form study groups and to learn a lot from my peers as well. So adjusting from working life to student life was actually not as difficult as I initially thought. Now, another great thing about JHU is the sheer variety of student organizations. I joined the Women of Whiting School of Engineering, and I had a lot of fun. I was able to meet new friends from other departments, connected to the community, and assisted in school events, and I believe it really enhanced my experience here. And the great thing about JHU is that as an institution, they have tremendous resources that if a club does not exist, you can always apply to start one. So in my case, I was interested in blockchain technology, but we didn't have a blockchain club. So I co-founded the JHU Blockchain Club with a classmate of mine, and we're off to a great start. We have over 50 members already on the list and counting, and we're working very hard on planning upcoming events. And I think it's a testament to tremendous resources that JHU is willing to invest, not just in academic experiences, but also in extracurricular experiences. JHU is also magnificent at carving out paths and opportunities. They're manning career fairs on campus. The school also provides transportation for students to go to career fairs and network opportunities in nearby cities. We constantly receive emails on new hiring positions, on campus jobs, research assistantships, and class assistantships. This program is also very supportive for students to go to conferences. Some other classmates and I in the program were invited to the cybersecurity reception hosted by CyberWire in DC during the fall semester. I was selected to go to RSA conference in San Francisco this March. We formed a team to compete in Cyber 912 Challenge in DC, and now they're forming teams for Capture the Flag events. So there are plenty to do, and the program is super supportive. I know a lot of you are deciding between JHU and other schools. I was accepted to a few schools myself, and some of them are in New York City, some of them are in warmer areas with less cold and less snow. But what I found about JHU was that it was a very established and very venerable institution with tremendous resources in a very hip part of this country. So for that reason, I absolutely have no regrets about my decision to choose JHU, and I think it is a fantastic place to be. And I couldn't ask for a better experience. So with that, I will end my presentation and turn it to the next speaker. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Reveille Niles, and I'm the Academic Program Administrator for the MSSI program. Today I'm going to discuss a little bit about the admissions process. Some scholarships we have. You've heard a lot of great, exciting information, so we hope that you'll be excited to apply. And so the deadline for the fall semester is March 1st, 2019. All of the application requirements that you see listed on the screen are required. A little bit about a few of them, since I do get some questions about them. The statement of purpose, a lot of times students want to know, what do I write in my statement of purpose? You can write a little bit about yourself, your background, why you want to be in this program, the direction you would like to take this master's for your life, your career options, what research interests that you have. So you have a broad range of topics you can talk about in your statement of purpose. Please don't go beyond 1 to 2 pages, but definitely you can. There's a varied number of topics that you can discuss in your statement of purpose. Also, I get asked about the letters of recommendation. Who should those come from? We definitely recommend that there should be an academic reference for at least one of your letters of recommendation. Both of them can be academic. If you have professional experience and you'd like to use one of those as your recommenders as well, that will also be accepted. Don't worry about necessarily having to send in your official transcripts. We only request those from students who've been admitted to the program, so it is perfectly fine to upload unofficial transcripts. There is an option for submitting supporting material. This is not a requirement. You do not have to submit supporting material. If there is, however, some information that you want to share, a paper, anything that you think would help strengthen your application, you're more than able to submit that through the supporting material information. And lastly, of course, there's the application fee that is required. In general, a lot of times I also get questions about, will I get accepted? Who do you accept in the program? Listed as the information of what a typical admitted student is. Again, this is typical. There's variance in many different directions. So there isn't a rigid standard that we operate off of, but these scores and metrics here are the basic standard for what we're looking for typically in an application. We do offer some scholarships. They are very competitive, and so we do still recommend that students look for financing their program privately. It is outlined by the scholarships that are available for US students and for international students. There's more detail about these scholarships specifically on the website, so I would highly recommend that you take a little time to go through the requirements and see what those are. For the international students, there is the ISI fellowship that we do recommend that you take a little, you can look on the website and get some information about. It does not require additional material for you to submit to apply to it. That is something that internally will be applied if we're able. And that is the portion of my program. Again, my name is Reveille Niles. For contact information to reach us about any of the information that we've shared here today, or if you have additional questions regarding how to apply to the program, my information along with Professor Lee's information is listed. I would highly recommend you take a look at the application website. There's a lot of good information there to assist you as you're looking for specific information about different aspects of it. And again, if anything isn't clear there, please feel free to email me so that I can help clarify anything for you. We are at the end of our presentation, and I'm going to bring back in Professor Lee and Professor Deborah to assist with the questions you've asked us throughout the presentation. And so if there are any other ones, please feel free to send them now, and we'll get through as many as we can.
All right, team, thank you so very much. Our first question has to do about the ranking for the MSSI program. Could you talk a little bit about the ranking for the program?
I'll start out. I'll just say that there's no formal or widely recognized ranking specifically for cybersecurity master's programs. However, in informal rankings, if you look around the web, you'll see us ranked quite highly, often in the top handful of programs. And in addition, we have a long-standing and high reputation with industry, with government organizations, and within academia as well. So carrying the Hopkins credential when you graduate from this program will take you very far in your career, I can assure you.
All right. Our next question comes from a recent computer science graduate with a Bachelor of Science, currently working in network security. And he is wondering what the difference would be between the MSSI program and our online and part-time programs in information systems engineering or cybersecurity.
Sure. So first of all, right, we are very close working with EP, the Engineering for Professional program. So actually, we in our curriculum and in EP curriculum, we share a lot of courses in information security. I think we target different students here basically. So our MSSI program is a full-time program. We want to make it immersive, transformative. So most our students, they are fresh kind of graduates with a bachelor degree. They just want to become more proficient in security. So by the way, the students being successful in our program or in EP program, I believe, are those who are motivated, who have a very strong kind of career kind of goal to achieve in information security. So the EP program, of course, it is targeting those working professionals. Usually the student there, they already have expertise in cybersecurity or in related kind of discipline. So they want to get to know the latest knowledge in this very dynamic kind of field. So I will say really which program you should look at. It is up to your own the schedule, the time availability. Both are we are complementing each other. We are there is no competition here.
Yeah, it just depends on the needs.
That's right.
For you as a student. So we want to offer options for you depending on your life situation. And if you look at the Home to Homewood program, that's kind of more middle ground where you can be online part of the time and then on campus, and also experience the research aspect of our program as well.
Wonderful. Our next question is, will a student be eligible for a research assistant or TA, teaching assistant, assistantships if they apply for this program within this week? Is there a priority deadline for financial aid consideration or for these positions?
I will start. So first of all, right, we have the scholarship opportunities as Reverend just discussed. But I have to say those are very competitive just because we have many outstanding kind of applicants and we have very limited number of scholarships we can offer. In terms of RE and the TA, we call it actually course assistant here. So the so-called CA, we have many such opportunities. But usually, for example, in terms of RE, usually this, what you have to do is, you need to talk to faculty members here. They may have openings, but really that depends on a good match, right? How you and the professor can fund. In terms of CA, this kind of goes with the cycle of semesters, right? So usually before a semester starts, well in advance, there need to be arrangement made about CA or TA support for all the courses. But we do have many such opportunities. But we do not have a very specific kind of deadline in this regard.
There's no impending deadline.
That's right.
All right, so this question is from an international student wanting to know if they need to submit what I think is an international credit evaluation of the credit that they've earned at a non-US institution, like from WES, for example. Is that a requirement?
No. So we highly recommend that we receive some sort of evaluation, but it is not required to submit with your application. So it is on a student-by-student basis whether or not they want to provide that to us or not.
Okay. All right. How does someone apply for one of the assistantship roles?
Okay, so it looks like students are very, interested in this, of course. So I will say the good way to start. Actually, as a matter of fact, I have received such inquiries just personally. Like students ask me about such opportunities all the time. So my suggestion is, especially if you are interested in certain area, like if you are interested in network security, right? We have faculty members specialize in network security, which means you may need to do some research, right, to study our faculty members. Then just feel free to contact, the faculty members, right? So again, I think really this is, as I said, right, there are many such kind of opportunities, like student doing research with Dr. DeBrua, with me, with Dr. Rubin, all the time. But it's kind of hard to say, I'll say even there are such kind of positions advertised somewhere. Usually it does not go that way. So the mentorship, is very important for RE. Position, honestly, the RE kind of work, right? So feel free to ask, to contact the faculty members, right, for such opportunities.
All right, our next question is, how much time should we expect the decision from the university after the application is submitted? When are decision letters typically issued?
I can start. So we are using this kind of rolling kind of process. So our decision the recommendations will go out in batches. So I will say the turnaround time is so we have a deadline of March 1st, right? Usually our first batch will go out in probably 2 or 3 weeks after that deadline. So I think that's very quick kind of turnaround. But of course, the challenge to us is we have so many applications, and we want to go through pretty much every of them, right? So and then it will go probably every 2 or 3 weeks. There will be new kind of these recommendations, sending out. Maybe into late April. So that's about the timeline, I guess. It really kind of.
So just to clarify that, the deadline is March 1st. Students typically will have about 2 to 3 weeks to make a decision. So the deadline for us to submit the decisions to students will be by the end of March at the latest. So you'll have some time to make a decision about attending, because April 15th will be the deadline that we'll need to know by.
Oh, great. Okay. So submit your application. You'll hear, heads or tails by the end of March, and then you have until basically April 15th to
I believe the
commit.
specific date is April 16th.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. How does a relevant experience in identity and access management help in gaining admissions? So if you have, I guess, for specific experience in those 2 areas, is that something that would help you in admissions?
Yeah, we look at a number of factors in evaluating our applicants. And certainly work experience, research experience, relevant educational experiences will count heavily. No guarantee, of course, but certainly, especially if you can bring those experiences forward through your application, including through recommendations, that will certainly be taken into account. And I think that sounds great. If you have some relevant experiences, you can certainly use that to be a benefit during your experience here at Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, we look at the whole package basically, right? So there are quite a few factors we consider in making the decision here.
All right, team. The time is 11 a.m. Eastern. We're gonna take one more question, and then if we have not yet answered your question, we will follow up with you via email. So we will answer your question. Our last question, which I think is a great question, if you do not come from a computer science background, for example, this prospective student is a graduate in electronics, and currently working professionally in web app and network security. How are the success of students who come from different backgrounds other than computer science?
Well, having a computer science background is important for this program. What this particular student mentions could really help them, because if they're doing web security, network security, they're probably learning, maybe not through a formal educational process, but they're learning a lot of the things that they kind of need to know foundationally for our program. So there are all kinds of paths to get into the program and be successful, but it really does, being familiar with computers and programming and networks and things like that is important, and we'll certainly take that into account. We want to build you for success here. So when we look at your application, we will guide you through the process and make sure that you have the best chance for success in our program.
Sure. if I may comment here, right? So actually, because information security is such a it is interdisciplinary, it is multidisciplinary, right? So actually, we see more and more students, coming to our program with kind of a different, quite different background. But as Tony said, you have to be prepared, right? If you do not have a CS degree, but then you should have courses, for example, as preparation in your background. But on the other hand, just like the IoT, the cyber physical system, so computers are everywhere. Many of our students, they do research actually in non-traditional kind of topics, problems, right? So by saying that, actually we are welcoming, the students with not so traditional computer science background, but motivated, having a very clear plan in cybersecurity, to join us.
Yep. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. It's been exciting having you share this experience with us, learning about our program. Thank you. If you haven't applied yet, please do so. And if you have applied, make sure you finish your application, and we look forward to reviewing it and having you here with us at Johns Hopkins University. Thank you.
Thanks.